All right, good evening. I'm going to start with today's class. We have to cover two lessons. I think they are going to be kind of short, but let's see how it goes. All right, because we know that sometimes they can be short, but we have some questions, we have some details over there. It's important to solve everything and be sure that everything is clear. Now, let me start. I just want to be sure that I'm in the right meeting, just in case. Yes. Okay, so we should be here soon. I'm going to begin with the class. Possessive nouns. Possessive pronouns. Let me also verify that this is the one we have to cover. Yes, yes, yes. We are good. Now, this is pretty simple. Again, this shouldn't take long. We're talking about just words that are going to have one purpose, and they can be used in any sentence that we want. Right? It doesn't matter the tense because this is not related to tense. This is just related to how something can be replaced by this pronoun. In this case, something related to possession. Okay? So we have this over here. We have that is my pencil, that is mine. It is her laptop, it is hers. Those are your shoes, those are yours. All right? All of them are related to possession, but some of them are what we call adjective or possessive adjectives, and some of them are possessive pronouns. And if we know the basic meaning of those words, we know which one is which one, right? Okay. Of course, in my pencil is an adjective that is describing the pencil, that is the possession of someone. That's a possessive adjective. My, her, your. Those are possessive adjectives. My pencil, her laptop, your shoes, and the word that they are describing is next to them, right? And the adjective is before. So it is an adjective. But mine is a pronoun because a pronoun replaces what? An object, a noun. Right? If you say Peter, the subject pronoun for Peter is he. If you say Peter after the verb, it is an object. The object pronoun for Peter is him. His is the adjective, right? The possessive adjective that you use next to an object, his pencil. But this is replacing that. In the case of his is the same, all right? It doesn't change. You can say it is his without anything else. That's a possessive pronoun, all right? It is when we don't mention the object because this pronoun is already replacing it. So once again, we cannot say that is mine pencil. No, because mine is replacing the idea of pencil. Or you can say that pencil is mine. That's also valid. All right. Again, the idea is that as we are working with pronouns, we are replacing some words that we don't have to mention anymore. Okay, and that's actually the lesson. But we have to, of course, work on some comparison. Possessive adjectives, what I was telling you, right, is an adjective that goes before the noun that it describes, right? This is my car. My is a possessive adjective, car is the object, the possession. That dog hurt its paw. Its is the possessive adjective, paw is the object, right? And these are the possessive adjectives that we got. My, your, his, her, our, their. All right, those are the ones. Now, again, I just want to check something because in the first class, they told me that they couldn't join. I don't know if something is happening with Zoom. Perhaps it is. Just in case, okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Give me a second. I'm going to check WhatsApp. If you texted me or if you told me something about this so I can consider that. If not, again, I'm going to keep working on it. No, it seems that it's good. So I'm going to keep going. All right. Okay. And we were here. All right, so those are possessive adjectives: my, your, his, her, our, their, its. This is not the topic. We are just reviewing that to be sure. Now, this is the topic. Possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns replace the object, all right? That is mine. We replace the pencil. We replace any object afterwards. This is hers, theirs. Okay, it's not plural or singular. No, it's anything. It's just replacing an object that can be singular, plural, countable, uncountable. It is mine. It can be, but it depends actually what's before, right? Mine is not going to change, but what is before is going to be different. You can say those are mine, right? And we don't say mines, for example, only mine. Hers, not because it's plural, it's because it's a pronoun. Theirs, also because it's a pronoun. So the possessive pronouns are mine, your, his, hers, ours, theirs, its. Now we have ways of using these possessive, all right, words. If the object possession is mentioned, it goes before the possessive pronoun, and it is separated by a verb. That pencil is mine, right? After the verb. But we don't say that pencil is mine pencil, no, right? That pencil is mine. This car is hers. Those guitars are ours. All of those are examples of possessive pronouns, being used after the verb, after the object. But we never use the object after this in the order that I mentioned before. The second option is with this expression that can be sometimes pretty common and interesting. The noun or the object of, and then the possessive pronoun. So he's a friend of mine. It is a problem of theirs. It's not always the best option, okay? But it's an alternative that you got. Exceptions. Here you're mentioning the object just before the pronoun, because this is a very interesting way of saying this. Is that pencil hers? Right? But we don't say, is that hers pencil? No. Is that pencil hers? Wanting to verify that it's the possession of that. We can say, is that her pencil? It works, right? Is that her pencil? Is that pencil hers? Both ideas are correct. Are those books yours, or are those your books? That's also correct. Okay, that you can see in the two ways that you got over there. But again, we are taking a look at the many ways in which we can mention or talk about possession. They can also be subjects. All right, it's very important to know that they can also be subjects. So those are my shoes. Hers, that's the subject, are over there, because we're talking about plural in this case. But you can say, if you're talking about, that is my pencil, hers is over there. Okay, so hers is not defining that is are, because hers is not plural. Hers is plural or singular or anything. It depends on the object you are referring to. Okay, let me just be better now. Okay. The same with the second one, right? This is my book. Yours is in your backpack. And again, it can be are if you say, those are my books. Yours are in your backpack. We have many, many ways of, using this, as we can see. Whose is something extra. It's a way that we got to ask about possession. So, whose car is that? If you can want to directly answer this, you can say mine, right? Or it is mine. Or you can say it is my car. It depends on you if you want to use adjective, right? An adjective, or if you want to use a pronoun. Whose cell phone is this? It's hers. Whose pencils are these? They are ours. And with that, again, we are done with possession. Okay? It's a pretty simple and basic lesson. Again, we are not here yet. But let's see how it goes. If not, I'm going to cover the lessons that I gotta cover. If I finish more, if you're not here, I'm going to try to cover 3 lessons, this one and 2 more. All right, if you get to join, we're going to practice and cover the lessons that we have to, because by practicing, we use the time that we have to use. All right, and that's important to take into account. But again, that's the end of the first lesson. Let's see, we don't have anything else there and there. No, everything is good. Yes, and everything is working fine. So, well, let's keep going then. That was the first one. Let's open the next one and let's continue with the class. All right, now this is the second one already. Well, I have to be covering all this time because again, if not, this is actually the next one on Wednesday is going to be our last class for A7. So actually I have to take advantage of the time. I need to cover everything. If we get to have extra activities, perhaps I'm going to finish today with the 3 lessons I'm talking about. We're only going to have one left that I cover on Wednesday. If you're there with me on Wednesday, we get to practice what we couldn't today and some extra things. We have the time, all right? But we have to take advantage of the time that we got. So, adjectives now and adverbs. So we know, okay, this is pretty basic, but again, we are ensuring that everything is clear, and we are going to add some extra details that are important and worth knowing to, again, make good usage of these structures, adjectives and adverbs, sorry. So, adjectives, they describe nouns and pronouns. Adjectives can come before nouns or after linking verbs. Let's take a look at that. Adjectives before, right, nouns are very basic. This is what we know. Big house, right? She's a beautiful girl. He's a handsome man. It is a hard exam. Very simple. But it is also used after what we call linking verbs, because these verbs are not actions. They are just connecting two things, in this case, the noun or pronoun and the adjective. She's beautiful. He looks handsome. The test seems hard. So is, looks, seems, they are not actions. Once again, they are connecting the idea to describe the word that is before. She, he, and the test. All right, so as we can see, it can be after, the adjective can be used after a linking verb. That's the second one. Here we have some adjectives that we can use. Again, it would be good for practicing, but all of them, right, are adjectives. Bad, big, different, easy, economic, and the other part you have, or on the, yes, on the second column, you got national, political, public, social, small, right? So all of those, again, are adjectives. We can use them in the 2 ways that we mentioned, and they are to describe, again, nouns, pronounced, referring to people, to objects, to animals, all right, to anything that can be described. Now, adverbs, on the other hand, right, are used to describe not nouns or pronouns, they describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. All right. They, again, I mentioned this before, I think, and I said that perhaps 90, 99, 95% of the adverbs will be adverbs if you see the ly at the end. And an adjective can be changed to an adverb if we add the ly. But again, it's not 100% of the cases, most of the cases, not every time. So the location is going to be, again, it depends what it is describing, but very commonly, and the thing we need to know very well, is that it is used to describe verbs. And it is going to be used in many cases after that verb. Okay, so a verb plus adjective, it means run quickly. She sings how beautifully. He speaks how loudly. They study how hard. Hard is one of the exceptions. I think we talked about it. Hard is not hardly, right? We don't say hardly as an adverb because hardly is something different. It has a different meaning. It is a word by itself. Okay, so adjective hard, adverb hard. Hardly is something else, something different. Okay, sorry, I'm very tired now, and it's even more tiring when you're not here. Why? Because with the interaction, right, I stop talking sometimes, and you give me the examples. I have the time to just rest a little bit as I'm waiting, or even just because of the interaction, I'm more awake, let's say. Okay, but it's hard. If you're not here again, I need to cover more contents. I need to be working a little bit more, covering more contents, and again, it's tiring. All right, it's more tiring than working with you here. I'm mentioning that also because it happens. I'm realizing that every time I have no, all right, students in the class, because as this is one-on-one, right, it's easy to be in that situation. I feel more tired, and this tends to happen. All right, and it's very hard to happen if we are again working together. But again, I wanted to make that comment because I'm like this, and I feel pretty tired. But anyways, again, 90% of the cases, ly. So careful becomes carefully. That adjective careful now is an adverb carefully. So he's always careful. She put the glasses down carefully, right? Careful describes something. What is that? Carefully describes the manner, right? The way in which something happens, the how of that situation. Quiet, adjective. This is a quiet room. We describe the room. Quietly, she spoke quietly. We describe how she spoke, the action of speaking in past. Bad, this coffee is bad. That's adjective. And badly, he sings badly. That is an adverb. All right, sorry. Let's keep going. If it ends in y already, you change that to I, and you add ly, right? If it ends in e, you drop it and you add the y. Here you have the two examples. Happy, happily. Happy is an adjective, so she looks very happy. Happy is describing that girl. Looks is a linking verb, right? Happily, he sang happily. We know how he sang, the way in which he did that action. Gentle, right? It is a gentle cat. Gently, right? There we're describing the cat. Gently, he stroked the cat. Gently, we're describing how he did that action. Now we go to the exceptions, all right? Because like that, like these ones, is 90%, 95% of the cases. But the exceptions are this one, fast. Remember, I think people are using more commonly fastly, but no, fast and fast. That's a fast car. She walks fast, all right? It doesn't change. Early, early, it's an adjective, it's an adverb. She was early for the meeting. All right, adjective. She was early. We're describing her. And he arrived early. All right, that's how he arrived in this case. Well, we keep going. I don't know why I pressed escape. Now, good. This is a common, right, exception because we know that this is irregular. So, good, the adjective, becomes well, but sometimes well, it's also an adjective, all right? But again, in this case, let's understand just that. Good. That is a good book. We're describing the book. Well, she did well on the exam. How she did? Well. Hard, this is something I mentioned before. The adjective is hard, maths is hard, and hard is the adverb. She tried hard. How did she try? Hard. Right? Hardly, as I said, it has a meaning by itself, is a word, and it means almost none. Right? Now, late, same, likewise. An adjective, he's always late, he is late, we're describing him. But late as an adverb, he got up late. All right, we're describing how in a certain way, or an adverb again can describe many things. In this case, this action. Not always manner, because we have adverbs that are referred to many things. Adverbs of time, adverbs of manner, adverbs of place. Okay? But in this case, it is an adverb. He got up late. And we know that lately it exists. Again, it's a word that is independent, and we know that it means recently. All right? And that's it. That will be the second lesson. Again, perhaps today is going to be very short because that's the only thing I can do now. I cannot go further because the classes are oriented to the doubts that I see that you got, to the difficulties that I see that you got, to you practicing in class. Because again, covering like this, I would be finishing, all right, in just some minutes as I'm doing now. And because I cannot give more details about something that we know and without practicing. All right, that's why again, this lesson, it is going to be for you to watch, and it is going to be well, to be sure that we understand everything. I'm not going to be sure that you know this. Okay, perhaps we're not going to have the time to practice on Wednesday. I hope we do, but we also lose that. All right, we lose the feedback, and we lose the possibility of being sure that everything is going well. Now, let's go to the next one. As I said, if we are not here together, I covered 3 lessons, and that is it for today. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to drink some water and Okay, sorry, I went to my kitchen just to get that water. But again, let's cover the last lesson for today, tag questions and negative questions. Okay, this is actually, it is a very simple lesson, but it's one of the best ways to know that the tenses are clear for you, all right, for anybody. I believe that they are for you in a way of that you know how you need to write them, right? Grammatically speaking. Perhaps only the meaning and those details are things that we have to improve, right? Or practice a little bit more. But it's always good to have this practice. But again, as we're not here to practice, the longer part of this lesson is the practice because we write ideas in all the tenses, then we write the tag questions for all those ideas and we see the possibilities and well, many things. But right now I'm just going to cover them just like that. Tag questions. All right, we know that tag questions are these short questions at the end of one statement that it is used, right, or that is used to verify or confirm something that we kind of know, all right, the answer to, or we perhaps are not that sure, but we want some response, a reply over there to be sure that it is what we are thinking. So it is like this, right? You are John, comma, aren't you? That is a tag question. And again, it's just verifying something because it means right, correct. We are just, again, looking for a verification, looking for confirmation. Now, we're not going to go there directly. We're going to work on the step-by-step first. Remember that if you want to work with tag questions, we need to be sure that we know the tenses. First, very simple, right? We need to know that if it's affirmative, likes, or negative, didn't like. That's the first thing, affirmative or negative. We need to have one of those statements. Then we need to identify the tense. We know that if we have one verb that is base form plus the S, that is the third person rule, this is the simple present. We know that we see did, right, in the negative form, this is going to be past, right? But of course, it can be also in affirmative. If you're using the conjugation of do in the past, it's going to be also, but it's going to be in that case affirmative, right? But it's now negative in past, simple past. All right, it's very important to identify the tense and to recognize the auxiliaries. So if this is present and it's simple present, we know that the auxiliaries for simple present are do and does. In this case, we have Luis, we have likes, so we know we're going to use does. Mm-hmm. And the second one is very simple because the auxiliary is there. It is did, that is in negative, so that's the auxiliary. All right, that's the next step. The following one is the auxiliary is going to be placed after a comma in the opposite form, right? So if it's affirmative, Luis likes pasta, the auxiliary is going to be after the comma in negative form, doesn't, because Luis, third person, doesn't. Mary didn't like that pasta, comma, the auxiliary has to be in the opposite way, so if it's negative, it is affirmative, did, right? That's the next part. Then, after we do that, we have to work with pronouns and always contractions. We didn't mention that, but we know that this is contracted, and of course, if it's negative. So, affirmative, negative, negative, affirmative. Present, present, auxiliary do or does because of Luis. Luis, we don't say doesn't Luis, we say doesn't he. So we use the pronoun that replaces Luis. Mary, the same. Here, it is going to become she, and we use didn't in affirmative. So that's it. If we follow this, if we know and we can identify all the auxiliaries that we got, all the tenses without any problems, then we are doing good and we won't have any inconveniences. Now, things that we have to take as important. If we see the verb to be, we use the verb to be. Okay, that's a rule. We don't have to try to think of different things. No, we see the verb to be, we use the verb to be. Am, is, are, was, were. So you were in La Paz. We don't have to think of anything but where, weren't you? You are my friend, aren't you? So we don't have to think of any other auxiliaries as when we have the simple present with other verbs, not with the verb to be. Simple tenses, as I said, they are the ones that need extra attention because if they are simple tenses and they are in affirmative, and we're talking about simple, yes, the simple present and the simple past, they are not, all right, the auxiliaries are not in the sentence. We need to know and remember what the auxiliary is for each case. So she likes dancing. We know that it is dance. We talked about that, right? A few minutes ago. Doesn't she? So does is the auxiliary for the simple present in the third person. That's explanation. You liked the food, didn't you? Affirmative, negative, liked. What's auxiliary? Did. Did is the auxiliary verb for simple past. So didn't you? Again, we covered that, but it's very important to take that into account. It can be easily forgotten. And well, if we forget that, we're going to make some mistakes. A very common mistake is to use the verb to be over there, which is not going to be not a good idea. Of course, it is a mistake. All right, a big mistake. Then do your homework. If we have imperative, we don't say don't you, do you? No, we use will. Okay, we have to use will. Will you help me? Will you? All right, that's for imperative. For suggestions or recommendations with let's, shall, because they are the same. Shall we play poker? Let's play poker, right? In the form of a statement or in the form of a question. But if it's a tag question, we use shall we, always we, because let's is always we. Let us, you and I, you and me. Let's play poker, shall we? Recommendation. And this is the exception for the regular tenses. The simple, no, actually, it can be many things. In any tense in which you use the verb to be, all right, of the first person, this exception applies to that. I'm your friend, aren't I? I'm being rude, aren't I? I'm going to go to the party, aren't I? So those were different tenses, but in all of them, I was using the present, the simple present conjugation of the verb to be in first person. So again, anytime you see am and you see I, you are going to work with this aren't, because there is no way to say am not I, and we don't contract am and I, right? It doesn't exist. So we have to borrow, all right, some, well, a pronoun, not a pronoun, a verb, a conjugation of the verb. That is the second person or the plural, are, all right? And in that way, it works correctly. Now, before going there, I'm just going to read some of these. These are examples in different tenses of the questions, right? If it's simple present of be, she's Italian, isn't she? And if it's negative, we aren't play, are we? Simple present of other verbs, we live or they live in London, don't they? If it's negative, she doesn't have any children, does she? Present continuous, we're working tomorrow, aren't we? Negative, the bus isn't coming, is it? Past simple of be, it was cold yesterday, wasn't it? In negative, she wasn't at home yesterday, was she? He went to the party last night. This is simple past avoided verbs. Didn't he? In negative, they didn't go to, oh, sorry, yes, they didn't go out last Sunday. Did they? Then past continuous. We were waiting at the station, weren't we? Past continuous in negative. You weren't sleeping, were you? Simple future, she'll come at 6, won't she? In negative, they won't be late, will they? And modals, any modal, right? Even will is a modal, but we're talking about future. Here, any modal. So he can help, can he? Or she can't speak Arabic, can she? And that's it. All right, that's everything related to tag questions. Now I'm going to go to the last part. That is just one slide if I'm not wrong. Yes, that's this one. Negative questions, also used to check for information, all right, in most of the cases. That's why they are together, because the purpose they got, it's pretty similar. So, aren't you the new recruiter? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I want to verify, but perhaps I'm not right. That's why, as I'm not 100% sure, I'm going to ask in this way. Sometimes, of course, even if you're 100% sure, you're going to ask this to see what the person says, knowing the answer. But again, most of the cases, it's for verification, for checking information. Don't you like this movie? Hmm? Do you like this movie? Yes, I do. No, I don't. So why are you like this? Because I know that you like it. All right. Didn't you travel to Bolivia last month? I want to verify because I'm kind of sure, but actually not quite, perhaps. So, yes, I did. No, I didn't. Haven't you gone to that place twice already? I know that, but again, I want to confirm. Yes, I have. No, I haven't. All right. That's it. At the end of all those, well, at the end of all the presentations, or most of the presentations, you have a list of links. You can go to those to practice, all right, to complete some exercises. But again, I believe that you were working pretty good on Pearson and Danitza, all right? You're doing a great job. Please don't forget you have to keep working. This is our last week. Even we don't have a complete week. On Friday, we finish everything. So far, you did a great job. But remember, we are about to finish everything. The again, the Wednesdays class, that's going to be our last class. I think you have a couple of extra days or one extra day. It's a couple, I think, until Friday to finish everything. If not, it is going to be, no, I think it's this Wednesday. Yes, this Wednesday is going to be the due date. Um, but just in case, all right, take a look at that. Don't forget, again, you're doing a great job, but be careful because we still need, all right, we still need to do a lot of work and the time, all right, is running. And be careful, all right, be careful. If you want to keep and you want to maintain these scores, you have to be sure that you are working with all these details. So that's it for me. I'm going to now stop the recording and I'm going to stop the class now because again, I cannot cover more. I cannot go further. I need to practice with you. I need you to be here to see your doubts, to see all those details. If we don't have that again, this time is more than enough to show you what I have to show you. Then again, at home, perhaps pausing the class, you can practice. You can be sure that everything is clear for you. Okay, so that's it. Well, I hope you can watch the class. And if you have any questions, we're going to try to see those details and well, in the next class. I believe we're going to have the time. But again, remember, it's not always going to be possible. Let's see how it goes. Right? Have a good night.